that was released on November 2nd, 2001 by Pixar. The movie's opening scene depicts monsters, some friendly or odd-looking, watching on as a simulator of a test-run scare plays out in front of them. This is the first glance into the terror that monsters inflict into human children. International and domestic terrorism have been around since the beginning of time. There has been a debate among civilians and experts about what is truly the correct definition of terrorism. Yusuf Deidre posted on his article in Monsters, Inc., Courage or Cowardice, that terrorism is anything classified that can inflict terror onto a certain group of people. In the case of Monsters, Inc., it is the monsters being as the terrorists in this situation. The monster's sole job is to gather screams from human children to power Monstropolis. But before we dive into the terroristic tendencies into Monsters, Inc., let's first find other examples of terrorism in Hollywood movies. In Alfred Hitchcock's 1942 movie, Saboteur, the actors can be shown hijacking planes, while in John Frankenheimer's movie from 1976, Black Sunday, there are vivid prisoner of war scenes that are being shown on the viewing screen. All of these blockbusters build up to an era of new movies that we have today. But before the terrorist attacks on 9/11, 2001, there are terroristic scenes in almost every action movie, and Monsters, Inc., which came out barely a month later, was no exception. In the 9/11 era, as it is now referred to, Hollywood decided to stray away from those types of scenes until recently. To explain the movie, Monstropolis is powered on the screams of children. Henry J. Waternoose III owns and runs Monsters Incorporated, where Mikey and Sully are employed. It is common knowledge that if you come in contact with a human child, that you must be quarantined. A 2319 case was taken very seriously in this environment as the part of the human world was intruding on the monsters area. During the rising action, Sully finds Boo's door and enters to see what is going on. It's then when Boo decides to play with Sully and his tail, screeching and having fun. While working our way to the climax, Mikey is involved in a prisoner of war type scene when Mikey is caught and tortured by Randall and his assistant with a machine that would suction his lips to make him not be able to talk. As Mikey escapes, he finds Mr. Waternoose to be able to report Randall's crimes and unexpectedly finds out Henry was part of the plan. This leads to another topic of terrorism, including banishment. Waternoose pushed Mikey and Sully out of a door after they were told it would be Boo's. They were pushed into a blizzard that would later have them wind up at the abominable snowman's cave. This type of treatment and punishment was used even back in 441 BCE when Sophocles wrote Antigone. Ignacio Sanchez Quintina and Luis de la Calle, in their book titled Domestic Terrorism, The Hidden Side of Political Violence, shows the involvement of higher-up people in the government during these types of attacks. Sully and Mikey finally find a way off of the mountain and was able to make it back to Monstropolis. From there, Randall pursued Mikey, Sully, and Boo in a high-speed type of chase through the system of doors to find Boo's. At the end of the movie, Boo was returned home, Waternoose was arrested, and Sully and Mikey watched on as Boo's door was shredded to pieces. From there, Mikey and Sully were then put in charge of Monsters, Inc. and powered Monstropolis off of laughter. The closing scene was Mikey surprising Sully with Boo's repaired door, and Sully seeing Boo one last time before the credits began to roll. The terroristic tendencies in Monsters, Inc. is nothing to turn your nose up at. There are many examples of what drives many people's fears in today's world, shown in this hour-long cartoon. Even though the movie was released barely a month after September 11th, Hollywood still snuck in one last set of terroristic scenes before phasing those movies out for